If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Well, good morning, and we are live this March the 10th, 2026. Welcome to Neely Fuller's Counter-Racist Code Show. I am one of the co-hosts, Mr. Bobby, and waiting in the wings is Professor Gate. And we'll have a good topic for you today, method over myth following logic. Practical counter-racist behavior. As usual, on this show being live today, being again the 10th of March, 2026, we have a few housekeeping things. And you know what they are, but for those that are new to the program, here they are. Now, you can help support and promote the show by hitting the like button and the share button. To watch the show live, somebody asked me that earlier this week and last week. Go to YouTube at Produce Justice, Facebook and Instagram at Produce Justice, Neely Fuller Jr. And you can also watch the show live at producejustice.com. A replay of the show is available immediately on all platforms. To get on the show, which we do encourage you to do that, to share your thoughts, click on the link in the feed and you will be prompted on what to do next. You can also find the instructions on the website at producejustice.com. And by the way, feel free to read a passage from one of Mr. Fuller's books on air for discussion. Now, if you'd like to contact us off of the air, send your questions or comments to contact@producejustice.com. To order the books, go to producejustice.com. And also, you can still get, and I think we still have them, a limited edition coffee table size leather bound collector's item version of the original 1984 book by going to producejustice.com. And I still believe that they are available on a first come, first served basis. And there are only 3 left. Is that up? Well, I have to ask Gate if that's updated. When they're gone, they will be gone. Now, in case you missed out on the collector's item, you might check out the hardcover edition of the revised and expanded edition of the code book. Okay, I believe that's it. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Professor Gate, and let's get this show rolling. Mr. Gate, Professor Gate, how are you?
I am still learning. Boy, do we remember that phrase Mr. Fuller used to famously say at the beginning of each and every show that he would broadcast. And
that's right.
That phrase has so much weight because we should all still be learning when you get down to it. Mr. Fuller taught us many things, and if nothing else, that we should never stop learning. So I take that to heart because when you're in this system of racism and you're confronted with confusion and lies and hypocrisy on a day-to-day basis, you need as much knowledge, you need as many weapons as possible. And so in order to manifest that, we must keep learning. And so I'm happy to say that I am in that number of those who are constantly trying to keep learning. Now, Mr. Fuller made it easy for us because he left behind a code book with many of the instructions we need to keep learning and to prepare ourselves and equip ourselves in this battle. As Mr. Bobby said, yes, we have Mr. Fuller's books. We have his original book, the 1984 edition. We have the Word Guide, and we actually have the 2016 Revised Expanded Edition. Now, we did create a collector's item that's available on producejustice.com, and also a hardcover of the Revised Edition. So you can go to producejustice.com. And like we still have the basic books too. So some people have asked about collector's items. They're trying to find ways to support the show and Mr. Fuller, and to have some type of keepsake to remind them of the person he was. So we have those items available, and we'll be producing more products and items down the road to keep Mr. Fuller's legacy alive. And that's why we're here. We're not here to promote ourselves. I'm not here to promote myself, certainly. And I can say the same for Mr. Bobby. This is about Mr. Fuller and preserving his legacy. Sometimes we might drop our own takes on things. We might give our own opinions, but I'm trying to minimize that these days because it's really about Mr. Fuller. So today we're going to talk about the method versus the myth. I'm going to examine some clips from Mr. Fuller and address some practical questions about behavior in the system of racism. And we're going to dig a little deeper into thought, speech, and action on a variety of topics, including power dynamics. And how do you operate in this system with limited power and influence? And should you participate in certain institutions that this system has presented, such as holding political office, being a police officer, voting? We're going to talk about language, communication, name calling, the N-word. We're also going to tackle Mr. Fuller's definition of religion. And so some of these things we have talked about. Many people say they understand Mr. Fuller and what he represents. And some of his videos might change your opinion of how he felt about certain things, for good or bad. Now, the main thing is that this is not personality focused. Mr. Fuller was really, really big on that. He was like, it's not about Neely Fuller. It's about the logic. So we're going to start out by Mr. Fuller. This first clip we're going to run today. How Mr. Fuller, we're going to start this show about how Mr. Fuller started speaking about himself. He said, don't follow me, follow the logic. Let's get Mr. Fuller's words.
Yes, well, in answer to the question of me emphasizing me as a person, that is not in line with the code objective. That's why we need a compensatory code. We have people out here with name recognition. We have people who, in this month, February, in the Northwestern Hemisphere, they have African History and Culture Month and Black History Month, we call it. And we have numerous people who people can look at if you just want to look at somebody. But I'm trying to get people to look at something we haven't been looking at. We've been looking at people, this person, that person, this minister, this reverend, this professor, this doctor. Some people have even given me the title of doctor. I never cured anybody of anything. So I'm trying to say that I'm not saying that people who have name recognition and face recognition shouldn't be recognized. All of the people that you see, the pictures on the postage stamps and all like that. But I'm trying to get people to look at themselves as the solution. Not Neely Fuller. Neely Fuller is not the solution to anything. Neely Fuller is trying to get people to follow what he's trying to follow, and doing a raggedy job of that. And that is what? What is it I'm trying to follow? The logic that the creator of the universe put into the universe for people to follow. What does the people who are supposed to be a leader, what does that person follow? That person follows logic. Logic is a way, what is logic? Choosing what to do and what not to do. That's logic. That's all it is. Choosing what to do, what not to do. Choosing to look at a problem for what it really is and coming up with a solution to that problem. Now, that's what everybody on the planet, each and every day, is supposed to be doing. That's the essence of codification. Each and every individual. Put the emphasis on yourself and stop looking for some strange space to come over the mountain. And I understand where this comes from. This comes from the way that black people have been taught, and white people are taught that. They have been taught to sit by the window and watch for, in the system of white supremacy, a white knight to come over the mountain.
Mr. Bobby, Mr. Fuller said people are waiting on a white knight to come over the mountain and save. You know, I think that's important because what we've seen in this lionization and idolizing of, I guess, so-called leaders. And Mr. Fuller was pretty adamant about that. You really got to look at yourself. If you want to solve this problem, you start with the person in the mirror. What do you say, Mr. Bobby?
Yeah, I'd say that you're absolutely right. And I know that while we are not having this show, I do a lot of research. And a lot of that research is centered around what I've learned from Mr. Fuller and being, a counter this racism. And one of the things that I read recently, and I think I shared it with you in an email, was the Kerner report, which I would like for people to read it. I can't make you read that, but if you read that, it will show you the plan that Neely Fuller has said in all areas of people activity, which he said at the beginning of this show. And they detailed exactly why we are in what we are in. Malcolm X said that the problem with, quote, America is us, meaning that America has a problem in dealing with us. And if you look at the way that we as a people have been treated, no other people on this planet have been treated like us. And the Kerner report spells it completely out. That's Kerner. The Kerner report, sanctioned by then President Lyndon B. Johnson. Check that out and put your comments in the room. But you're right, Gate. Fuller was prophetic in issuing the problem and then dealing with it. That's why the code book was written, so that we would have a guide as to what to do and what not to do. Gate?
That's exactly right, Mr. Bobby. Mr. Bobby, I was looking at the news the other day, and I was seeing these two young black girls were fired from, I think they were working at some type of fast food place, and a white person came into the restaurant with a Trump t-shirt on, Trump paraphernalia, and they refused to serve the person, and they were subsequently fired. The restaurant gave a statement pretty much saying you can't discriminate against anybody. But what it did bring up a subtitle for this, a topic for this show is how blacks, non-whites maneuver in this system of racism when you have such little power. So we're talking about the logic and not following the personality. The next question is, what kind of system are we dealing in? And how do you deal in this system when your power and influence is so limited? So the power is not evenly distributed by any stretch of the imagination. And how do you maneuver in this system that you have no control over? So what I'm going to do is play another clip from Mr. Fuller when he talks about this power dynamic and what type of system you're in, and really how you survive in it. And when we see these young girls get fired for their actions, they felt like they were not safe around people wearing that type of paraphernalia, and by the hate and threats she received afterwards, she confirmed her fears were not a product of her imagination. So let's hear Mr. Fuller again talk about how blacks maneuver in this system when they have such little power.
And coming in, like the caller said, or whomever sent in the email, if the person that you asked for a job and it said, okay, when you come in here, don't come in here with all those T-shirts on talking about black power and all that, because my customers, when they come in, they walk back out the door when they see that type of confrontation. It's not good for my business. Mm-hmm. So don't come in here with that black power T-shirt on. Well, I got freedom of speech, and I wear it. Well, okay, you got freedom of speech. You do have that. You can say what you want to. And if you wear your T-shirt, that is a form of speech. But my customers walk back out the door and don't come back. And I have to have customers in order to have a business and in order to be able to pay you a salary. So now if you run my customers off with your black power T-shirt, then my business suffers, and then I lose money, and I can no longer pay you. Now, do you want to get paid? That's the bottom line. Or would you rather walk around on the streets all day with a black power T-shirt and not have any money? Now, make up your mind. Because that's all it is. That's the way it works. Mm-hmm. And you say, well, that ain't right. Well, welcome to the real world. Black people, more than anybody, is always talking about the real world. The real world is, you if you have a black skin, it is true, you're nobody. You can tell people you're somebody. You can tell people you're King Jesus. But to the white supremacists who are running all of your business, if you're black on this planet, and they are running all of your business, even if you think you got a little drug business that doesn't have anything to do with white supremacy, you are making a huge mistake, because you are their prisoner of war, whether you realize it or not. 24/7 every day and night that you are on this planet called Earth, if you're classified as black. That's the truth. You are completely helpless in the face of their power. And if you think you're not, you're going to join all the black people who join every day that long line of people who wind up real dead real quick. And as we speak now, some black person is showing his muscles to the great, awesome system of white supremacy. You can't tell me what to do. Yes, they can, and they do. And you don't know anybody who can come to your rescue. Your T-shirt, your dreadlocks, your sagging pants, the whole 9 yards won't get you anywhere when you go up against the white supremacists.
Mm-hmm.
That's been proven over and over and over and over again. Now, you can argue with Neely Fuller and say, you talking that jive, I mean, I know what I can do, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, just keep doing it. Don't argue with Fuller. He's nobody. He's a fellow prisoner.
And Mr. Bobby, I was listening to Mr. Fuller talk, and I get the impression he's not asking people to succumb and to lay prostrate and say there's no hope. Let's just give it up to the racists and we're just poor helpless victims. He's not saying that at all. He's saying look at the reality, and it's a subtle call to action.
Yes.
We use the example of the two young girls who got fired. What if we have our own businesses? What if we have our own institutions?
Exactly.
What if we buckle down and say, look, we don't want to depend on this system that is treating us harshly and unjustly. Let's build our own institutions. That's what I get from that.
Yeah. Yes, and you're absolutely correct, Gate. Listen, for Kay Washington, 7284, she wanted to know it's not Kearney, it's the Kerner report. You can look that up. Look that up.
K-E-R-N-E-R.
Yeah, K-E-R-N-E-R. Yeah, you can look that up.
Also called the Kerner Commission.
In the Kerner Commission and the results of that. And Mr. Fuller actually pointed it out in the 9 areas of people activity. You will clearly see that, and you will see the root cause of that. And also, when you do your research, also look at the Bandung report, the 1955 Bandung report that Malcolm X talked about, and pointed out the problems and what they came to. Asian and African nations got together for an economic format, because they said that the problem with that was the problem with the Western people. That's code for the United States and all the Western nations that wanted to promote themselves and not global unity. They excluded them. So the report, or the Bandung Conference, Asian and African nations to promote the Afro-Asian economic and cultural cooperation, because they have excluded us out. So basically what I'm saying is, we as a people, following the code that Mr. Fuller has implemented, if you take the shells off your eyes, you can see that we have the power to do that, and we can do that, and will do that, particularly when you believe that you can. So look in the mirror. It's you. It's up to us. The blueprint is there. That's why we promote getting the books that you can get from producejustice.com. This is not a promotion. Get the books as a guide so that you can help us and help yourself to stay on focus. And again, when you read the Bandung report, see who they did not want to be part of the conference. Gate?
That's right. You're exactly right. And I like I listened to Mr. Fuller refer to himself constantly as a victim, as a prisoner of war. And many people might interpret that as he's abdicating power. But he's not. He's actually facing reality.
Yeah.
And you can't operate in this system with this grandiose stick out my chest, I'm all that. And then the system comes around and slap you down And then, so he's saying acknowledge their brutality, acknowledge their cruelty,
Yes.
acknowledge their injustice, and acknowledge that you have been victimized. But that
Yes.
does not mean language and victimization. That means pick yourself up and let's go out here and deal with it. Now, he did say, okay, once you acknowledge that you're in this system, now you have to figure out how to survive in it, in this
Yes.
cruel, unjust system. We still have to live. We still have to eat. We still have to put food on the table. But you have a system that's punching down on you 24/7. So what do? You go somewhere, lay down, you stick your chest out and say, look, this system is not punching me. Well, let me tell you, I've been punched down, I've been victimized, but that doesn't stop me. It doesn't make me it doesn't give me a victim mentality. It tells me I got some work to do, not just for me, but the people that are impacted by me, the people that I influence, the people that depend on me. But yes, I have been a victim. But my goal is to make sure that you don't victimize me anymore and that the harm is minimized. Those are tangible objectives. Go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, you're correct. That's why we have the code. That is exactly why we have the code, because everything that is done right now is in support of the system of racism, white supremacy, everything. That's why they do not want us to know the truth or banish books. And so they don't want that because it corrupts their system. Actually, it actually exposes the system that is against us. Everything that is done right now is in promotion of the system of racism, white supremacy. Now, are all white people racist? No. Go through Fuller's material, he will tell you no. But they could be what? Suspected as being,
Right.
white supremacists. And if you look at the history, is particularly that which they want left out, the pattern is clear. What is that? Connect the dots. Connect those dots, and you can see that this is what it is. They would say that Gate and myself are racist, and it's impossible. It's impossible for a black person to be a racist. Yeah, you can hate somebody and kill somebody, but we can't be a racist. Okay, the question is why? Because it's a system of power, and everything that you see is systemic. It promotes white supremacy. Gate?
Yeah, when I hear somebody, sometimes people come on this platform say you're racist because you're trying to fight racism. We call that projection. Let me tell you, next time somebody calls you a racist, Mr. Bobby, or anybody under my listening voice, just know they're really projecting what's in their own heart.
Yeah.
That's projection. That's psychology 101. So I'm not falling for that. The other thing, Mr. Fuller talked about, so you're in this system. And should you participate in it? Now, some people say, hey, let's get outside the system. What are you gonna find an island somewhere? Mr. Fuller said there's no escaping it. I like one of his videos. He talked about this bull. You're trying to run from this system. It's like a bull chasing you around in a ring. And he said at some point you got to turn around and fight that bull. Let's rumble. Let's wrestle. But let's just say, for all intents and purposes, you do find yourself in this system, whether you admit it or not. Some people just tend to live outside of reality. But okay, we're in this vicious system. And admitting that it's vicious, admitting that it has done you wrong, is not succumbing to victimization. What you do have to do is understand the power of this system. So let's talk about, somebody asked Mr. Fuller a question on one of his shows a couple of years ago, and he addressed this very issue. How do we maneuver in this system? And what should we just extricate ourselves? Should we support it? Should we just try to get through the day? Let's get his take on that.
The basic question is this: should non-white people run for political offices, serve as police officers, and file credible lawsuits and formal complaints at every chance in order to pursue justice and counter racism, white supremacy?
Well, yeah, first of all, we start with the premise there is such a thing as white supremacy, and if you're classified as non-white, you're subject to it, and that it is a tyrannical government. So we are prisoners of war. We're born in prison. If you're a person of color in the system of white supremacy, you are born in prison. So being born in prison, you do what prisoners do. So if the prison masters allow you to be some type of official with an official title, whether it's law enforcement or lawyer, you just do whatever you can do and try to use whatever they allow you to have to produce justice and actually replace the system that you're in, which is a tyrannical, unjust system, the system of white supremacy. It's designed to mistreat people who have color in their skin. It's deliberately designed to do that. So you're always trying to get rid of the system that you're born in if you're a person of color. And so you do it by whatever means you can that are available to you. And you do it, try to use as many skills as you have to bring about the replacement of that system with a better system, which would be something called justice, which means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help at all times in all areas of activity. And that's it.
And that's
You just do what you can. That's the compensatory way. That's why the code is called a compensatory code. You just do what you can because you don't have a situation that's the way it ought to be. Mm-hmm. And there's no way to work outside of the situation. If you're in a prison, you can't work like you're working outside the prison if you're in the prison. So you only have you do whatever the prison walls allow you to do within those walls. That's the deal. The system of white supremacy is a racial prison for all people of color.
Okay.
And they're confined in there.
I look at this as Mr. Fuller being very pragmatic. Now, I listen to people, like I said, people that thump their chest and talk about how bad they are. You're not going to do that to me. I'm not a victim. I'm powerful. Mr. Fuller gave you the real deal. When you look at what's going on in the world today, people with unlimited weapons, unlimited surveillance, barbarity, cruelty. And you're so bad that you're going to buck up against this system. The system has the guns, the weapons. And you're going to buck up against this system. Not only that, but you're going to marginalize and discredit those who are trying to operate in this system. I'll tell you the truth. And I'm not going to get too much on my take on this, but I abhor some of the things that I see on a day-to-day basis. Some things I am powerless to change. That doesn't mean I'm powerless, but that means there's some things I just have to, I don't say grin and bear it. I just have to tolerate it.
Yeah.
And like Mr. Fuller said, you do what you can with what you have. I don't have an army. I have to exist in this system, or what Mr. Fuller calls this prison yard. And he has said it on many, many times. A little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing. And people is doing all this talking about what they're going to do and can't do. To me, that's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
You use the tools that you have. Reminds me of the institution of slavery, that brutal system of slavery. We survived, our people survived for centuries in this system. Some said that it was a choice. Some said, I wouldn't have done that if I was back then. Well, what are you doing now? You're no different than those slaves were. They did not have any power. Some tried, and like Mr. Fuller said, you join that long line of dead people. So you have to make a decision on how you're going to survive in this system.
Mm-hmm.
Your decision, your choice may be different than somebody else's.
Yes, sir.
I've decided to try to make the best of it. I'm going to help people when I can. I'm going to try to fight it when I can. Sometimes I have to acquiesce and go back and come back and try again. But I'm not ever going to give up and say this is right. That's what I'm not going to do. Go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, and you're correct on that. Yeah, don't give up. Two things, and they're different, but two things. And one of the things that you just said, I try to write this down, but as Mr. Fuller said, that this system is designed to mistreat people, and it is. I mean, if you total or look at it logically, what it does, mistreatment of people, particularly people of color. And one of the tools that they use, Gate, and to the rest of the world, Delbert Sat 7, Terrence Martin, yeah. One of the tools that they use is deception. They trick us, they train us, they trick us. And I was speaking with a friend of mine, Sandra Lee, and I ran this test on her. And this is the test that I'm gonna run on everybody. You can put, those of you online can put the answer in the comments. But it simply was, it's a real simple question. If you have 2 dogs and 2 cats, how many legs do you have? Now you need to answer that. And she did. I was shocked that she knew the answer. Most will miss it. And that's what they try to do, the racists, with deception. When you get, I'll tell you the answer near the end of the program. Yeah, 2 dogs and 2 cats. How many legs do you have? You answer the question. Now, the second thing is this, which is not exactly related to it, but this is how I feel. I can't say this on the air, Gate, because we might get cut off. But I'm going to say this. This is on YouTube. What the Malaysian representative said to Donald Trump when he addressed the meeting, and the Malaysian representative was speaking, and then Trump didn't like what he was saying, so he asked the Malaysian guy to speak English. If you look at YouTube and just put that in, what did the Malaysian guy say to Trump when Trump asked him to speak English? Look at the reaction. Like I said, Gate, I can't say it on the air. I want to real badly, but I can't. But that's how I feel sometimes. All right, Gate, go ahead.
Well, we have to constantly examine this system of racism, injustice, who promotes it, and they don't hide it anymore. Once upon a time, I think the reason we were able to survive so many years, particularly in the 60s and so forth, we were able to shame people about their racism. And now that's no longer a weapon. It's now they wear it like a badge of honor now. So we're dealing with a different mindset, and it starts at the top. Now, once again, we're going to go back to Mr. Fuller's pragmatic view on operating within a system when you have such limited options. He said, yeah, if you have to run for an office, if that's your way of trying to minimize the harm to promote justice, if you want to be a police officer, if that's your way of doing it, of surviving in this system, Mr. Fuller said, and I'm going to paraphrase him, long as you are promoting justice, one, making sure you're not mistreating anyone. Now, this is the test you can run it through if you're trying to decide if, well, what about my actions? I'm trying to survive in this system. Well, let's just run it through the prism or through the filter that Mr. Fuller laid down for us. First of all, make sure it's not mistreating anyone. And when I get lost, this is what I can revert back to on any given day. When I'm trying to navigate the many things that I do in a day, am I mistreating anyone? And am I making sure that those who need help the most get the most constructive help? So when you're trying to navigate this system, keep asking yourself that. Now, his pragmatic view extended to some other areas that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Mr. Fuller, and I tell you what kind of sometimes surprises me, some people who claim to be followers of Mr. Fuller, they speak in logic, they speak in this, they speak in that, and they turn around and do the exact opposite. We did a show a week or so, I think it was last week or so, a week before, and the questioning, a poll ran during the show about who participated in the last election. I was surprised. I tell you, I was actually taken back that the majority of the people who answered the poll said they did not vote.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what not voting does. It gets you in wars. It gets dismantling of programs and that have been set aside to help minimize the hurt caused by racism. And the list goes on and on and on. Some people ask Mr. Fuller, they've asked him on many occasions, Mr. Fuller, what about voting? We're in this system. Is it going to make a difference? Are we wasting our time? Should we be focusing on other things? We did an entire show on this topic. Let's get into Mr. Fuller. And this ties into the bigger issue of Mr. Fuller's pragmatism. Mr. Fuller wrote 3 books. Mr. Fuller is nobody's patsy, nobody's fool. But Mr. Fuller was a pragmatist.
What is pragmatism?
He's saying you have to be able to survive. He's saying you have to be able to do things in this system to get from one day to the next while you work to dismantle this system. Let's get his comments.
Mr. Bobby, can you ask Mr. Fuller why blacks should vote under the system of racism, white supremacy? It is important for blacks to vote under the. Is it important for blacks to vote under the system of white supremacy, racism? Thank you.
I say yes, you should vote, but not with the expectation that that will take care of everything that needs to be taken care of. But since the vote is said by many to be important, and some people have found benefits that come from voting, because it all comes down to what are you voting for in order to get what, in order to accomplish what. So if there's a track record of people getting more from voting than they had by not voting, then codification based on logic, and everything in codification should be based on logic. If you gain something of constructive value, then by all means vote. It comes down to, do you gain or do you lose? You're either going to gain or lose when you engage in any activity. So is it a losing proposition or is it a gaining proposition? So if there's a possibility you might gain, then by all means vote. There's a saying, a little bit of something is better than a whole lot of nothing.
Mm-hmm. Even in this prison system.
yes, you do the best you can in a prison system. If you can get 2 pieces of bread rather than 1 piece of bread, get the 2 pieces of bread, even though you may still be hungry with 2 pieces of bread.
That was deep. He said, if you can get 2 pieces of bread versus 1 piece of bread, you do what you have to do to get that 2 pieces of bread. I sitting around crying and fighting the system and saying, look, I'm not going to participate because I don't like what's going on. I mean, I understand. Let me tell you, I understand. I felt that way at times, but sometimes you have to sit down and get out your test tube. You have to get out your protractors, and you get out the calculators. You get out your abacus, and you say to yourself, what's going to have the most impact? That's going to impact my life and those around me. I'm in a system that's everywhere. Right now, you can't even go into the government without taking some type of purity test.
Yeah.
So you ask all those people working over there in Washington, D.C. and around the country in the government, you ask them, are they willingly supporting this system? Are they trying to get through the day to do what they can? And when you get in these positions, you go back to that definition of justice. That's what you do. You do what you can, but you don't hurt anybody, and you make sure that those who need help the most get the most constructive help. That's how you deal with that. Go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
Washington will do. Yes, we are streaming, but I believe Gate put on there a link that you can actually get on the show live. And you asked some very good questions. Scent Walking, Nagazi, you got it. You got the answer to that question that I'm going to give at the end of the program. And Gate, you mentioned the word about pragmatic, to be pragmatic. In layman's terms, what do you mean when you said that word, to be pragmatic? Pragmatic. What does that mean?
Pragmatic simply means you move beyond rhetoric and talk and focus on goals.
Okay.
Focus on outcomes. Okay. It's one thing to sit up here and talk about what you might do or what you should do. Pragmatic saying, look, this is the best way to get to your goal.
Whatever works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So
okay.
Let's get we just put the link up here. Sorry guys, I meant to put it up sooner. I see have one of our listeners in the green room. Let's bring him on stage. Come on, brother. Sorry about the putting the feed up late. I meant to do it earlier.
Not a problem at all. You guys are doing amazing things. I have no qualms about what you guys are doing, and thank you for being so consistent. Thank you for still doing this. Greetings from Germany.
Greetings.
Actually, I would like to continue a little bit about the voting thing, because I think for a long time, again, I was under that impression of vote for what. But again, when you follow the logic, when you follow the code, Mr. Fuller is absolutely correct. But there is, if the community, and if there is a community, and Mr. Fuller says we don't have one, which I think is true, if the community is counterproductive to the things that we're voting for, I think that a lot of times we will get frustrated with the voting process. So that's why I think a lot of people have checked out of the voting process. Even though if the community was on code, if the Black community was on, if there was majority of us following this code that is, I believe, the cure for our issues, then I would say vote, because we actually have a community and a plan and a code. But the thing that we are signing to vote up for, a lot of times signing up for our own destruction. That's why I think so many people are checking out, because they just can't figure out the cobwebs of, am I voting for something that's actually going to help me, or am I actually voting for something that's going to hinder me? So it's smarter to say F it and stay out of the process in general. And my pawpaw did always say that, don't get caught up in the arguments and the anger and the qualms of this political back and forth, because this government's going to be what this government's going to be. And he was saying that to the people in my family because he was seeing so many arguments back and forth. It was dividing the family of people saying, well, we need to vote for this. And other people saying, we need to vote for that. And my papa from the reservation was saying, they all sit at the same table. There's no reason for us to be arguing back and forth about what needs to happen or who we should be voting for or why are you voting for this. And he said that's all part of the plan. So
Aaron, let me say this, and
yes.
I'm agreeing with you, Mr. And believe me, I wrestle with this a lot, but I go back to logic. I go back to the code. I go back to Ms. Fuller, and Miss. Of course, I'm a thinking individual. I don't agree with everything Mr. Fuller says, but I'm a thinker, and so my thinking is, I'm pumping money into this system through my taxes, through my all types of ways.
Yes.
And why would I put my money in a system and not expect some kind of return on that investment?
That's right.
Mr. Fuller said, look, you can try to get one piece of bread or you can get two pieces of bread. Neither one of them going to fill your belly. You might still be hungry at the end of the day, but at least you choose the method that's going to get you the most result. We know
That's
darn well voting is not going to get us where we want to get. But look at the alternative, what happens when you don't vote. We are watching it in real time. We are watching it in real time.
Yeah.
Who's going to hurt you the least? That's a Hobson choice. That's a terrible choice to be put in. But that's the way the system of racism works. It lies. It's hypocritic. It's non-constructive. You don't have good choices, but you have to pick the best choice. And that's where the pragmatic nature of Mr. Fuller comes in, and it aligns with me in that way. In other areas, it may not align with my thinking, but that is logical to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue.
It reminds me of this art piece my friend did. And he did this art piece of the system of white supremacy and everybody eating at the table. And it had like the white people on the higher, it had Asian people, and Indian people, and everyone had a seat at the table. And it had even Africans and other people and they had a seat at the table. Then it showed American black man, American black woman, and they were in the corner eating scraps. And he said the reason that he drew it this way is because we don't have a real voice. Again, like, when it comes down to it, we don't have the numbers of voting because we have such our code should be increasing our numbers in America. Instead, we've been brainwashed to have the abortions. I'm not trying to get your life, abortions, and us being tricked to kill ourselves. That now, when it comes time for voting and getting things done, we don't even have a seat at the table because there's not enough of us who are on code voting for certain things. And even with this whole weird gender war that's happening between black man and black woman, now it's even harder to get on code, which is the plan, which was completely the goal of the system of white supremacy that you see on YouTube. So it was a great piece, and it made so much sense to see that. It kind of made me change my mind about the voting process. It's like everyone else is playing this game. Hispanic people are playing the game and they're reaping the benefits of it. Indian people are playing the game, they're reaping the benefits of it. Everyone's playing the game, and we have checked out of the game. And now we are dealing with the repercussions of not playing the game.
We're sitting on the sidelines complaining about a system that you're not participating in.
Exactly.
But you may not be participating in the system, but the system is participating on you. That system is taking your rights. That system is chipping you off the wall. That system is taking your money and feed it to the 1%, to the billionaires. You can sit on the sideline and complain about it, or you can do what little that you can. Yes, most of these politicians ain't worth the salt in your bread. But what are your alternatives? You're going to go live on an island somewhere? You're paying taxes into the system. I'm going to do what I can to make this what little impact and influence that I have. I'm going to fight. I'm not giving up. Go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, I was going to say you're right, and my brother, he's absolutely correct using the word deception, because we have followed into their situation, what they are putting out. Before we go, because we're getting short on time, Saint Walking Nagasi got the answer to the question that I said, that I asked Sandra Lee that it's actually 2 legs. Yeah. In other words, they trick us by deception. 2 legs on the 4 legs on the dog and 4 legs on the cat. But the question was, how many legs do you have? See, you gotta look, talking about you. And the answer is 2. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, thank you. And Delbert, Sat7, you're absolutely correct. We talked about Gate, Professor Gate, in another show. Check out the Southern Strategy, my brothers and sisters. Check it out. Check it out. And you'll see that this is a planned move, all by deception to get us off code and then against each other, which we do faithfully, which is unfortunate. Go ahead, Gate.
Guys, let me tell you, I don't come on here to espouse. I don't get on here to talk about trying to get somebody to vote for a certain candidate. Somebody says 2 wings of the same bird. Well, that may be true. One day, as we've seen throughout history, once upon a time, the Republicans were called the progressives. And then after the Southern strategy and the things that happened back in the 60s, all of a sudden, the Democrats were called the progressives. I'm not here to have that debate. My debate is, no matter who you vote for, if it's Democrat one day, Republican the next, vote for your interests. Vote for your interests. Is it going to get you to the promised land? Is it going to get you where you want to go? Probably not. But what's the alternative? That's what I keep asking myself, you, what is the alternative? What is the alternative? Now, we've talked about economic empowerment. We've talked about starting our own, supporting our own businesses, educating our own children. There's a endless list of things that we can do. But we can do multiple things. Okay, they're not mutually exclusive. We can do them all. Voting, it just happens to be one tool. And I wasn't coming on here today to talk about, try to give a voting argument. I'm just playing the words of Mr. Fuller today. And voting was one of the topics that he addressed. He said, yes, he votes.
Yeah.
And he's a man who follows logic. I'm not voting because he votes. I'm voting because I follow logic as well. Go ahead.
I know you guys are going,
Mr. Germany.
I know you guys are ending, so I was going to pose another question, but maybe we can do it another time. But yes, it's just because with so many people, especially on college universities, and this whole wave of tear down the patriarchy, you see it from a lot of feminists, a lot of people in the LGBT community, and all these other things. And their goal is to tear down the patriarchy. Does it make sense to start joining these conversations and even challenging them and saying, well, if you want to tear down the patriarchy, you must tear down the system of white supremacy, and then that way we can start bringing Neely Fuller's code onto college campuses and start having a larger conversation. Because I do believe that the only way to really impart code on the community is to start doing it at a university level. Because I think that the young people are primed for Mr. Fuller's logic now. I don't think the older people are. I don't think that many people who are already pledged and maybe already, in the Divine Nine would be maybe helpful in these kind of conversations. And I think it'd be smarter to have the conversation and start introducing Neely Fuller on a university level to all the people who are so gung-ho about tearing down the patriarchy. And then you can either respond to that, or we can maybe do that another time. But I think that might be the logical step to start getting Mr. Fuller's voice into young people's heads, because once you start listening to him, you can't unhear him. Once you start listening to him, it all starts making sense. And I think the young people need to start hearing him.
That's true.
He said, if you don't understand it, how it is,
everything else,
how it works, everything else is going to confuse you.
So
thank you again, Aaron. You said you're not in Spain anymore. You're in Germany, you say?
I've been in Germany here for 10 years now, yes.
Okay, yeah, Aaron in Spain is another person.
Oh, that's another person. Okay, man, we got a universal brother.
That's right.
Thank you, man. Come back and join us again, okay?
Please. I definitely will, sir.
Please.
All right. We got a brother from Spain, Germany. We got Canada. This is an international show.
Yeah, South America. Because Aaron Letton.
We have to understand the extent of the diaspora. Now, let's put a bow on this. I had a few more videos, but we're out of time. I just want to end on this note. we talked today about decisions that you have to make every day while you're operating in this system. Mr. Fuller's approach was always to ask, what's going to produce the most justice, be most constructive, and cause the most minimal amount of confusion? So take everything I said today, everything that you heard. If you can use it, apply it. If not, like Mr. Fuller said, it's not meant for you. Move on, go do your own thing. But what you have to do is not just follow what sounds good, something that just feels good in the moment. But you have to ask yourself, is this actually going to work? You're in this system. And you can't sit over there and say, well, I'm not affected by this. They're not doing this to me. I don't vote. I don't work for the man. I don't do this. I don't do that. That's not realistic. I'm just sorry. That's fantasy. You don't understand the power of this system. That's why we have to dismantle it and replace it with a system of justice. Mr. Body.
Yes, 3 things quickly. Well, 4 things. ProduceJustice.com. The assignment is check out the Kerner report and see how it aligns, the 1968 Kerner report, see how it aligns exactly what Neely Fuller has been talking about being codified. Look at what Malcolm said about the 1955 Bandung report and who they excluded and why they were excluded. And of course, as I always end the program, don't forget to get the books. If you don't have it, get the book. The United Independent Compensatory Code Concept. You really need that to help us stay on code. All right.
Stay on code. ProduceJustice.com. Thank you again for this very lively discussion. And next week, if you want to come on and add to the conversation, to the discussion, we'll put the link in the feed, and you can come on like the young man from Germany did today. Really appreciate his input.
Oh, yeah.
We're not up here to promote ourselves, I'm telling you. We're here to keep Mr. Fuller's legacy going. And sometimes, I will say, that's why the show was called The Method versus the Myth. Sometimes people have this mythological impression of who Mr. Fuller was, when in reality, he was a pragmatic person who want to put aside hero worshiping, grandstanding, chest thumping, celebrating, and trying to help us get through this system the best way we can. And sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. They think it's surrendering. They think it's abdicating. They think it's laying at the feet of the system and giving up. It's the exact opposite.
Exactly.
You have to understand this system you're in. You got to get through it while you try to destroy this system of racism.
Preach, man, preach.
I'm sorry. About it. I'm going to see you next week. Appreciate you, brother. And thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Let's tune out by hearing Mr. Fuller's talked about these 9 areas of activity and remember this quote. We play it when we come on the air. We play it when we tune out. If you don't understand, I'm not even going to try to tell you. Let Mr. Fuller tell you as we Yes, sir.
One more thing. Yeah. Do we a question? Do we have any more signature books left? Clarence Martin wanted to know.
We have about 2 or 3 of those collective item books. Go to ProduceJustice.com. When they are gone, they are gone. And this is one thing. It's like real estate. It's like land. It's like waterfront property. Once it's gone, it's gone. Unless you find somebody else and buy theirs, but they're not making any more of these original books. I hate to put it so bluntly, but it's a one-time offer. I mean, it's got a little price on it, but considering the value of it and how you can use that to honor Mr. Fuller,
Yeah.
then we priced it so that it's not to make any, they're really not making any money on it. Actually, the cost to produce these things were just about right up to the penny on what we're charging for them. So we're not really trying to make a profit on that. But if you do happen to miss the collector's item, we do have the hard copy of the revised expanded edition, which is also a limited edition. It's not a collector's item. It doesn't have Mr. Fuller's signature like the other book, but it's a nice little thing to have in your library. On that note, we'll see you next week with another show, Neely Fuller's Counseling Racist Code Show. And until then, let's go out here and try to dismantle this system of racism and replace it with a system of justice.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time.